Hi everybody, this is Boogess Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Neca Ultimate Alien Romulus Scorched Xenomorph figure. So before we take a look at the Scorched Xenomorph, let's go ahead and take a look at all of its numerous accessories. So first up you get this cradle to help it stand, though I mostly just pose it leaning against its tail. That's worked for me. This will help if you're trying to get into certain poses, but for the most part just leaning it on its bendy wire tail has helped. Up next you get this face hugger, and I think this has some pretty cool sculpt detail to it. I just think the paint is kind of haphazardly put on. If you look in between the legs, I think the pink color is what it's cast in, and the light brown and the glossy dark brown are painted over top of it. But it's the glossy dark brown that I think looks kind of haphazardly put on. It's very detailed on the underneath right there, like the glossy pink and stuff. That looks really good. Oh, and the legs on mine came out extremely warped, so I'm definitely going to have to heat this up and reshape it at some point. Up next you get the chest burster. Not a whole lot of paint detail to it, you do get a little bit of shading right here, but the sculpt detail is really good. All of the ridges on her are sculpted really nicely, the face is sculpted very well, and it has a bendy wire tail. Just like with the face hugger, it's kind of a firm plastic so it doesn't want to move that much, but you can bend it just a little bit. Up next, it comes with a set of relaxed open hands. Up next, you get hands from when it's first awakening from its cocoon. And these look really good. All of the hands are cast in this translucent brown plastic. You can see how the black fades into the translucent plastic right there, with some glossy black paint over top of it. And that looks really good. Neca did a really good job at sculpting and painting these. That translucent plastic with the black paint over top of it looks really good. Up next you get these semi-open hands. You can see that the pinkies are still stuck together from where it's coming out of the cocoon. And just like with the previous set of hands, these are sculpted and painted very well. You can see that mine's right hand, this finger is really out of whack right here. So I'm definitely going to heat that and bend it to where it's a little more in line with this one. Up next you get these semi-open hands. Up next you get these more open hands. I'm not sure what specific hands these are meant to represent because they're not too different from the last set of hands I'm going to show off. For the last set of hands you get the widest open ones, and I think these look really cool. These are definitely how I'm going to leave the figure displayed. I just really like how it looks with those open hands on it. Up next you get the regular dome, and finally you get the interchangeable cracked dome piece. And I think that looks really good. The paint detail on the dome looks really good as well. You get printed on lines, and it's done in a semi-translucent plastic so you can actually see the skull underneath that. So yeah, Neca did a phenomenal job on all of these accessories. We get so many it's not funny. You get pretty much a hand for every scene that the Scorched Xenomorph is in, and I love that. It has been really good for photos. So now, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the head sculpt. So taking a closer look at the head sculpt, it is sculpted very well. Neca did such an awesome job on this. The head is actually cast, or the lower part I should say, is cast in a translucent brown plastic and has the glossy black detailing painted over top of it. All of the ridges there are sculpted really well. The one thing that I love is whenever you take the dome off, you can actually see the skull underneath. And man, that looks really good. It's painted really, really well. You can see that it has some silver dry brushing over top of it, and it looks like there's a little bit of blue mixed in the paint as well. So yeah, that looks very awesome. Not only did they sculpt it really well, but they painted it really well too. And since this is semi-translucent, you can see the ridges of the skull there. That looks really awesome. So taking a look at the rest of the figure, I think most of the parts on this are actually cast in that translucent brown plastic. It's cast in translucent brown and has glossy black and then a glossy blue shading over top of that black. And that looks incredible. The variation that it gives this figure just looks out of this world. I didn't actually realize it had so many different tones on it from the promo pictures. It's incredible having it in hand. All of the sculpted exoskeleton looks really good. The textures on the figure are done very well. You can really tell where that translucent brown plastic is showing through right here on the ridges on the thighs and the forearms, as well as the dorsal tubes right here. You can see it fades from that bluish color into the brown. And man, that looks really good. Neca just did a very, very awesome job on this. You get this bendy wire tail, and I think that looks incredible. You get some blue shading over top of it, though I have been kind of hesitant to pose it around. I've seen quite a few people's Scorched Xenomorph here break. I think it's more towards the tip of the tail, but I haven't posed it around too much because I don't want it to snap. You could probably glue it, but then you don't want to bend it in that place again and risk breaking it. So definitely be careful with the bendy wire tail. As I said, you get that really incredible texturing to the ridges there on the legs. You also get some texturing that isn't the ridges as well. You get some texturing right here to the rest of the skin. That looks really cool. Neca just went above and beyond with the paint detail on this. I do wish the paint would have faded into the translucent brown a little bit better right here. It is a perfect line, and I think that looks a little funny, especially compared to the toes right here where it fades from that black and blue color into the brown. But yeah, overall this figure has so much sculpt and paint detail to it, it's not funny. The way they cast it in translucent brown and then painted the black and blue over top of it, it just looks really good, and it's a very glossy black and blue, so it looks very slimy. Neca just did an incredible job on the paint on this. So now, let's go ahead and go over its articulation. So it has a ball-jointed neck that can look up that far. It can look down all the way, though I have noticed the head is kind of loose on mine. It does kind of move freely. So yeah, I don't know if it's like that on all of them. It can move its head side to side very nicely. Its jaw can open up very nicely with some nice silver paint right there. And I did forget to mention, the inner jaw actually is movable, but I can't get mine out. I might need to get some pliers and get it out, and I don't want to risk breaking it, so I've just left it as is. So yeah, I suppose that is another complaint, that I can't actually get that out. It has shoulders that can move out all the way, double jointed elbows that can just about bend in all the way, swivel wrists that can move side to side and up and down, ball jointed diaphragm that can move back just a little bit, forward just a little bit, and side to side. It has ball jointed hips, but these are very tight, so it can only move out that far before the hip plates hit on the pelvis right here. It can kick forward that far and back. Actually, you can get it moving back that far, but man, these ball joints just feel so tight it's not even funny. It has a swivel at the thigh that's a little bit hindered because of the way this is sculpted. It has single jointed knees that can bend back very far. It's a very deep cut joint, so you get some nice range of motion there. You get swivel ankles that can move up and down, kind of crunchy. It can move side to side just a little bit. And the ankles are on, kind of looks like a ball joint because it can move up and down and spin all the way around very nicely, as well as having a swivel here in the tail. But the way it's sculpted, it really only moves that much. You're not going to get it moving around all the way or anything. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here it is next to Big Chap, and it towers over Big Chap. This is a humongous alien figure. Here it is next to the Resurrection Xenomorph, which I thought was the tallest Xenomorph in my collection, but I was wrong, now that I have this Scorched Xenomorph. Here it is next to the Superman 2-pack Alien, which I think is my favorite Xenomorph figure that Neca has done. And finally, here it is next to Ripley, and it towers over her. It makes her look very, very small. So overall, I would highly recommend picking this up because Neca did a phenomenal job on this, and this is my second favorite Xenomorph figure. My first favorite is still the Superman 2-pack version, but this one is a very close second. Neca just went above and beyond on all the details on it. The sculpt and the paint detailing is really good on it. You get an insane amount of accessories. I especially love the accessories that you get because you can recreate virtually any scene from the movie with all the different hands that they included with it. And the articulation is pretty good. There's a couple spots that I would have tweaked, but honestly, it's a really good figure in just about every aspect. Neca did a very awesome job on this, and this is definitely a Xenomorph that you need in your collection. So, that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.